Commander is a social format. It's about big plays, long games, and everyone having fun. Until someone plays that card. You know the ones. The cards that make people groan. The cards that make the table suddenly turn on one player. The cards that don't just win games, they ruin the mood. Today, we're not ranking individual cards, we're counting down the 10 saltiest categories of Commander cards, and the 3 biggest offenders in each one. Let's get into it. We're starting off with a category that doesn't look salty at first, but over time, they create a very specific kind of frustration. Because these are the cards that are always correct to include. At number 10, we have cards that are so good, they go into every deck that can cast them. Cyclonic Rift is the most obvious offender. If you're in blue, you're playing it. There's no discussion. One overloaded cast erases everyone else's progress while leaving you untouched. Teferi's Protection does the same thing defensively, invalidating entire turns, entire combat steps, entire plans. And the One Ring, that card quietly turns into an unstoppable value engine that every deck wants access to, regardless of strategy. These cards aren't salty because they're broken, they're salty because they're inevitable. When the best card is always the same card, it stops feeling clever and starts feeling exhausting. Up next, we have a category that doesn't just affect the game, it affects everyone's patience. Our number 9 category is taking extra turns. Expropriate doesn't ask. It dares the table to make the wrong choice. Nexus of Fate turns the game into an endless loop. And Time Warp is where it all starts. One extra turn that never stays just one. Watching someone untap, draw, and play solitaire while you wait is one of the fastest ways to drain the fun at a Commander table. Up next, we have a category that attacks one of the core pillars of Commander, card draw. When one player draws everything and everyone else draws nothing, the game stops feeling social. At number 8, we have cards that stop the other players from drawing cards. Narset Parter of Veils doesn't look scary until it's followed up with a Time Twister. Notion Thief can feel like a dagger in the heart when it catches you casting a Brainstorm. And Leovold, Emissary of Trest, just be on the lookout for Windfall, Dark Deal, and Wheel of Fortune. When one player draws all the cards and everyone else draws none, the game stops feeling like Commander. Up next, we have a category that removes something far more important than permanence. It removes agency. At number 7, we have cards that let someone take your turn. There's nothing worse than watching someone else pilot your deck into disaster. Mindslaver can be looped over and over, locking you out of the game. Send Triplets give your opponent your resources, and Emrakul the Promised End lets someone pilot your deck straight into the ground. Watching another player tap your lands wrong, waste your resources, and sabotage your own plan is a special kind of pain. Up next, we have a category that skips the ending entirely. No build-up, no warning, just, oh, the game's over. At number 6, we have cards that immediately win with infinite combos. Thassa's Oracle doesn't care what the board looks like. Pair it with Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact and you win. Kiki-Jiki quietly sits there until suddenly everything is infinite. And Underworld Breach turns the graveyard into a loaded weapon. One moment, the game feels interactive. The next, it's over. And no one else got to matter. Up next is a category that doesn't stop the game, it slowly grinds it to a halt. Every spell becomes a question. Every turn takes longer than it should. And you already know what the question is, don't you? At number 5, we have the dreaded cards that make your opponent ask the same question over and over. Do you pay the? Esper Sentinel turns your non-creature spells into quandaries. Smothering Tithe makes every draw step feel like a mistake. And Rhystic Study asks the same question over and over and over again. These cards don't win fast. They win annoyingly. Up next, we have a category that ignores the rules everyone else agreed to play by. Commander is built around 40 life, right? At number 4, we have Poison. Poison doesn't play by the same rules as everyone else because once a player has 10 poison counters, they're dead, even if they have 1,000,000 life. Inkmoth Nexus comes out of nowhere. Blighted Agent can't be blocked and has hexproof. And Triumph of the Hordes ends games instantly. Commander's built around 40 life. Poison doesn't care. Getting knocked out with 10 poison counters while everyone else is still healthy feels awful. Up next, we have a category that doesn't remove creatures, it invalidates creature decks entirely. When your strategy suddenly doesn't function, salt is inevitable. At number 3, we have cards that make your creatures irrelevant. One of my personal favorite cards is Humility, which erases every text box for every creature and makes it a 1/1. Overwhelming Splendor does the same thing, but to one player instead of all players. And Spreading Plague punishes anyone who dares to commit to the board. You didn't lose your creatures, you lost your deck. Up next, we have a category that doesn't try to win fast, it tries to make the game miserable. At number 2, we have STAX. STAX doesn't win quickly, it wins slowly, painfully. Winter Orb makes every untapped step miserable. Stasis freezes the table in place, and Nether Void taxes spells into oblivion. STAX isn't about control, it's about endurance, and not everyone signed up for that. Up next, we have the category that creates more salt than anything else in Commander. At number 1, we have Messing with Lands. The saltest category in all of Commander, because nothing feels worse than not being allowed to play the game. Blood Moon locks people out of their colors. Armageddon resets the game entirely. And Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger, doubles one player's mana while strangling everyone else's. Lands are sacred in Commander. Touch them and the table will turn on you. At the end of the day, it's important to remember something. Commander is a format where people are allowed to play the cards that they enjoy, even if those cards make you miserable. Blood Moon is legal, Stasis is legal, extra turns are legal. How you react to those cards is up to you. That said, there's no rule against lightly shaming your friends when they resolve them. A dramatic sigh, a long pause, maybe a very pointed look across the table. That's all part of the Commander experience. Let me know in the comments, which category tilts you the hardest? And which card do you secretly love, even though everyone else hates it? I'll see you in the next one.